We're all familiar with those residential styles that shaped the American domestic landscape, such as the craftsman, the mid-century modern, and more recently, the modern farmhouse. But every era shifts eventually. And in today's episode of Homes Explained, we're exploring the 2026 architectural reset and the new aesthetic that all builders are about to embrace. I'm going to walk you through what it looks like, why it's happening, and what it tells us about how we want to live today. To understand this shift, it helps to look back at the styles that shaped the last few decades. So the 1990s were filled with traditional homes that had the brick and stone fronts, the front-facing gables, and those large, expansive two-storey foyers, while the 2000s were all about larger, extravagant homes, what many refer to as the McMansion era, that were all about grandeur, oversized spaces, and a focus on making everything look impressive. While the 2010s brought in an age of open floor plans, tall chimneys, and blanket grey or white interiors that made everything feel somewhat sterile and impersonal. But now the tide is beginning to turn, and part of that comes from a simple fatigue. After years of big, echoey spaces and cool, perfect surfaces, people want something that feels more grounded. Part of it is economic, as many families are choosing homes that feel more manageable and more meaningful rather than just being larger. And the rest, I think, comes down to the world in which we've all lived in recently. The past few years have been very intense and unpredictable, and it's almost reshaped what people are looking for in their home environments. Instead of perfection, people want calm, and the next wave of design isn't about being minimalist or maximalist, it's about being emotionally balanced, creating homes that feel warm, grounded, and human. Which leads to the big question, what will this new architectural style really look like? On the exterior, the overall form is becoming quieter and more intentional. Roof lines are cleaner, facades are more balanced, and the massing feels calmer. Instead of the busy, multi-tiered roofs of the 2000s or the sharp, boxy silhouettes of the more recent modern builds, the new direction favours a few well-proportioned gables and basically straightforward geometry. And sometimes there's even a gentle sweep or a soft arch in the roofline, just enough to take the edge off. So the whole effect is relaxed, welcoming, and much less showy. Inside, the same feeling continues with natural tactile finishes such as plaster, lime wash, stone and wood, replacing glossy, shiny surfaces. Metals are allowed to patina and everything has a little texture and movement. The colour palette warms up a lot as well, shifting from cool greys to warm whites, beiges, oatmeal tones, and basically muted earth colours that instantly make a room feel calmer. Nothing demands attention and the whole space feels richer and more inviting. Shapes are softening as well as hard edges and sharp corners give way to gentle curves, and small moments like archways, rounded corners and transitions feel more like a flow than a hard line. And these details collectively take kind of the stiffness out of the room and make it feel much more approachable. Scale is another element that's shifting, and while homes are actually becoming slightly smaller, they're being designed with better proportion and more intention. So instead of these kind of open, vast, echoey rooms, you're seeing a bit more progression through a home where some areas are open while others are kind of more enclosed and offer a little bit more shelter. And all of that works hand in hand with light. Builders are thinking more about natural light and how it moves through a home during the day. Windows are set a little deeper into the wall, so you have softer shadows and lighting that creates atmosphere rather than just kind of harsh brightness. So it's less about flooding a house with light and more about creating a calm, settled interior. When you put all of this together, the aesthetic is somewhere between warm minimalism and relaxed traditional. It's balanced, it feels grounded, human, and beautifully refined. And as this aesthetic becomes more recognisable, it raises the question about how we even talk about it, or does it have a name yet? So historically, architectural styles rarely receive their names while they're happening. Early American settlers certainly didn't refer to their homes as colonials. The term came about much later on once historians looked back and were able to kind of see patterns. Mid-century modern wasn't named in the 1950s. The phrase gained traction decades later. Even the prairie style associated with the Frank Lloyd Wright didn't solidify as a widely recognised label until well after the movement had even ended. So it's unlikely that next year in 2026 we're going to look at one of these new style homes being built and go, oh, that's the style. We rarely get that kind of clarity in the moment. What we can see is a blend of influences forming right in front of us. Warm minimalism, a touch of new traditional, and a return to natural materials. Basically a reaction to the last 15 years of design choices. Maybe this moment will eventually earn a name of its own, or maybe it will just be remembered as a hybrid era. But for now, what we're witnessing is the beginning of a shift, of a new architectural mood that's emerging quietly, one home at a time. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you here next week for more Homes Explained.